Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the TarkovTV podcast that happened on Friday, April 1st, which is yesterday as we're recording this, but nonetheless, we're going to dive into a little bit. So if you weren't able to watch the full hour, you missed bits and pieces of it, or you didn't watch any of it, I got you covered. And I'll bet even if you watched it, I'll maybe be able to go over some stuff that you might have missed, you might not have realized, and things that I found interesting, or at least kind of my predictions. Since everyone loves predictions and is constantly asking me about them, I guess out the gate, we'll talk about what I think's happening because of this wipe. This isn't what BSG said. This is what I think based on what I heard. So let's be clear there. I got this, how to listen to the podcast a few times and putting pieces together and applying some of the information from previous podcasts and tweets and things like that. So first, we will be getting a patch in the next, let's say 2 to 6 weeks. I think there's going to be a sooner one, and it might be broken up, and there might be 2 patches in the next 2 to 6 weeks. But next 2 to 6 weeks, we're going to be getting a bunch of quality of life features, some new gear, guns, DLSS, which will be on the earliest side of that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Technical fixes for the AI, networking, and probably a ton of other things not even mentioned in the podcast. Then after that, there's going to be a patch in, say, 2 to 3 months. And that's when we're going to get the Lighthouse Expansion, maybe a testable arena, viewable, testable, kind of hard to say, but Nikita did say 2 months, maybe. More guns, more gear, technical updates, all of that jazz, all of that stuff. And maybe, just maybe, a wipe. Yes, I said it, I know. Nikita said no wipe, whatever, but tea leaves right now, what I'm looking at, this is kind of what it looks like we'll be getting a wipe with. Then on top of that, we'll probably get some intermediate patches in there over the next 3 months. To fix bugs, you know, things like that. Maybe bring a little bit of content, just kind of depends on where it falls in their development cycle. So with my prediction out there that you can rub in my face later if I'm wrong, feel free. It's kind of fun to make predictions, so that's about all it is right now. But it's out there. Let's get into the details of everything else on the podcast. Now, right out the gate, Nikita wetted our whistles with the Chiappa Rhino pistol. It's been a long time coming. It's a revolver. It's kind of an interesting revolver. It really exists, even with as weird as it looks. Looks like something that might come out of Fortnite or something, but Nikita said we're going to be getting 4 versions of those, and that's based on length. There's actually 5 versions in real life: a 2-inch, a 3-inch, a 4-inch, a 5-inch, and a 6-inch, and that's all. There's like 20, 30, 40, and that's all it means is they're 2-inch. So which of those 4 they're going to pick, I don't know. Just have to wait and see, but there will be 4 variants. And then IRL, the Rhino can shoot 5 different types of ammo. Pretty similar, some of them are, but 357 Magnum, 38 Special, 9mm Parabellum, 9x21, and 40 Smith & Wesson. Now in the game, we don't have several of these rounds, but we did see in the video it said 357 on there. But Nikita did say more calibers, pistol calibers would be coming with this. The smallest version will probably be the little 2-inch barrel snub nose thing, and Nikita said it will be a 1x1, so really little 1x1 slot. Now this video we're watching here, it's just draft parameters. Nikita said the actual recoil damage, pen, ergo, all of that stuff has not been implemented yet. So don't look at what you're seeing on this video and take too much into it as far as damage and recoil and all that kind of stuff. He built on that and said that there's other guns that were close, but they just weren't quite ready for the podcast. But to watch for some more info in the next couple of days, and maybe some pretty big things as early as Monday. I think he's talking about a Streets reveal, maybe something to do with the other scav bosses that are going to be on Lighthouse, which we'll talk about those. All of that kind of stuff apparently wasn't ready for today, but he said Monday, and so we're probably going to see tweets and all sorts of stuff filter out over the next couple of weeks about all of this stuff. One thing he talked about that kind of caught me by surprise was that Arena is coming along fast. Not that they've been talking about it being in development, but I guess it's made its way quite a ways in development. They've got 1 level ready with 2 game modes. He said it wasn't a demo. Struck me as it's beyond a demo, but it's not ready playable yet. He wants it in the game. He says it'll be a great addition. And again, he said it'll be in another month or 2. We'll be able to see it for ourselves and maybe play it. That seems like a pretty stretch. And that's kind of like an Elon Musk goal, getting to Mars by 2024 or whatever he originally said. Not even trying to be mean and critical, but I'm not going to hold my breath for 2 months. It'll be super awesome if it's here. I'll be super happy if it is. But I just wanted to put out there what Nikita actually said. Just take it with a grain of salt. Now, DLSS is ready, and it'll be in the next patch, is what they said. And Nikita said it might be next week or a week and a half or 2 weeks. And he did that after the what's-his-face was looking at his cell phone. So I'm guessing somebody was texting him saying, hey, boss, it's pretty much ready. You know, we're just waiting to release it. So 2 weeks at the most, we'll see DLSS. And if all this other stuff is ready, it'll probably come with it. Otherwise, that might be a week or two after it. Like I said, 2 to 6 weeks for all this other stuff. But I wouldn't get too excited for DLSS. What DLSS will actually do for players will vary widely based on your PCs, your different setups, what graphics settings you have. The promo clips and stuff are really cool, and they're showing like doubling frames on some of these things. And that's great and all, but some people are not going to get anything out of DLSS, and that's just how the system works. And others will get double their frames. So don't get too excited about it. When it comes out, play around with it, try to get it to work the best for you, and we'll go from there. Now, as mentioned before, with this next patch, there's going to be a ton of technical fixes, specifically with the AI and networking were the two we called out, as well as optimizations. Apparently, Steam Audio has been fixed. What that means, I don't know. Maybe he's talking about some of the worst bugs that we have with Steam Audio as far as the distant sounds, or maybe it means altogether Steam Audio is fixed and Tarkov will have great sound again, though I'm skeptical of that. We've heard Steam Audio has been fixed in the past. It works for a little bit, or we think it works, and then it bugs out again, and then we're back to square one. And then on top of that, he said they're right in the middle of a graphical overhaul for the whole game. So I don't know exactly what that means. I think it's kind of a graphics upgrade. They're getting better stuff, and we've seen bits and pieces of that, but to make the game look better, which is awesome because the game already looks really good. So the fact that they're adding on to that is pretty impressive. And then it wasn't mentioned in the podcast, but it's mentioned in the past. They are working on another Unity engine upgrade. So that's going to be mixed in here somewhere as well. Now, the next part obviously got my attention because I love crafting in the hideout so much, but they're going to be changing how crafting functions quite substantially, actually. Nikita said this was a little change. It wasn't a big deal, but it could have some pretty big ripple effects through the whole economy. And that is going to be things that you use like tools when you're crafting. They don't get used up anymore. The three we saw was a red-handled screwdriver, a sewing kit, and one of the cricket lighters to craft, which the cricket lighter crafted the nutrition unit. That's a change. That's not a current craft. So it looks like we have some craft changes coming. So I'm kind of excited about that. But nonetheless, once the craft finishes, you still have to have the screwdriver, but once the craft finishes, you will get the screwdriver back. Now, he added on to that and said these items are going to be much more rare. They're going to be harder to find. So start stocking up on them. And you could literally go to the flea market and you watch red screwdrivers go from like 10, 11, 12, 20, 30. I think people were selling them for 50, 60,000 for like 2 hours. And it's like, guys, come on, this patch isn't going to be for weeks. Chill out. Your red screwdrivers aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Nonetheless, looks like that is going to be the way things are going. So make sure you save some of these things. Tools, who knows what we're going to need. We only got a little bit of a sneak peek, but you could think of wrenches, black screwdrivers, sewing kits like he had, wrenches, metal cutting scissors. I think all of these are going to be applicable for what will be more rare in the game. Then after that, we got right into weapon repair and armor repair kits, which was kind of surprising. Now, from what we saw at first glance, they don't appear to be any better than like repairing with mechanic. But again, that was just this teaser video. Nikita also said there would be other types of each kind of kit. So like there's going to be multiple armor repair kits that have different bonuses. They level up your skills, and all of this is planned for the nearest update. So even though what we were seeing in the video doesn't look like super exciting or great, that doesn't mean that's all there's going to be. The kits that we saw said they're not usable in raid, but there's a box there that says they're not usable in raid. So maybe there's going to be some that are usable in raid, or you have to have a special a level of skill to do it, or maybe there's some components or something you need to bring in with you, and it'll allow you to use these in raid. We'll just have to wait and see. But keep in mind, the ones we saw were really, really heavy. The weapon repair kit was 7 kilos, and the armor repair kit was 20 kilos. He also mentioned a knife repair kit, and I don't know why that would matter. I have never repaired a knife or a melee weapon in Tarkov ever, and I run around with them a lot and screw around and have fun with them. So I'm wondering if there's something new coming with that whole system, the melee system, as far as durability and needing to repair stuff. Be interesting if there is, and that's why we need repair kits all of a sudden for melee weapons. Now, the biggest use right now, as we see, is going to be a cost savings potentially. Now, he said these are going to be rare, but it just depends on how much these things are going to cost and where they're going to show up. But they could end up being very useful repairing some of the more expensive armors, things like Gazelles or Gen 3s, Zooks, Any of the armors that cost, you know, 200,000-300,000 to repair to full if they're damaged, this kit, instead of costing money, just costs durability. So it could be a way to make those armors more viable. So we'll just have to wait and see. And it also seems like Nikita saw a comment in the chat about customizable armor and armor hitboxes and stuff that we've talked about in the past. And he kind of responded flippantly, and he says it's planned, but it won't be this update, but it'll be the next one for sure. I mean, go listen for yourself.
What's next? Customizable armor and armor hit zones, they are also planned, but not in this update. In the next update for sure.
Now, I think this may be a language barrier thing, but I could be wrong. I don't see this change coming anytime soon. But if we get more info in the future, and this will be coming with the Lighthouse update, you know what? To me, that's just more weight to the idea that there's going to be a wipe with that update. Because if they're going to overhaul the entire armor system and the way you can customize armor and rigs and have, you know, 30 more hitboxes or whatever it's going to be, that's going to be something that's going to go hand in hand with a wipe, in my opinion. Now, after that, Nikita pretty quickly dove into daily and weekly task changes. They're going to be modified to now some of the kill tasks. You'll have to use a specific weapon. So the one they showed on screen, for example, said you'll have to kill 10 scavs with an SMG or a shotgun. This could sure make for some interesting tasks going forward, though. Just think about it. Kill Killa from 10 meters or less with a bolt action or a pistol. No, you don't like that? Guess what? Not a big deal, because along with that, they're introducing a system to allow you to re-roll tasks. Now, the way the video showed it, basically, they had it set up to where you did it before you accepted it. After you accept it, I don't know if you're going to be re-roll it. We'll have to wait and see. But it's going to cost you rubles, at least the one they showed us. I guess maybe Peacekeeper could cost dollars. Maybe Skier costs euros. Get a use for those. I don't know. We saw rubles. There was a cost to trader rep, even though it was only negative 0.01, which is pretty much what you get doing the dailies anyways. And then it'll re-roll the task for you. It does not reset the timer, though, it doesn't look like. So let's say you have 10 hours left on your reroll. When you re-roll it, you're only going to have 10 hours left on that new task. So keep that in mind going forward if we get these here pretty quick. Then next, Nikita jumped right into the Lighthouse and all the details with that. We got tons of screenshots and video of the new island location, the trader, all that stuff. Nikita said there's also going to be some new areas in the water treatment facility to explore. So this could mean maybe some of the roofs of the buildings we can't get on now, or some of the buildings you can't get into because they just don't open up, or maybe something underground stuff, or maybe there's going to be new buildings added. Who knows? And then on top of that, there's going to be new bosses added. Now, one of them he's already confirmed is going to be a sniper scav boss. It's going to guard the new trader, which we'll talk about in a sec. But I think he said there's going to be 2 other bosses go on the map. He said previously as well that potentially roam. Again, he wanted to show us those today, but they're not quite ready. So maybe next week, or I guess it could be a month. We don't really know. But down the future, we're going to see some more pictures of these new bosses, hopefully. And then on top of that, Nikita revealed the new trader. Now, this is going to be an in-raid trader, a trader that you have to go to in raid and trade with. You have to find him. You have to presumably bring your rubles or whatever barter items you're going to use to buy stuff from him with. And then you have to give it to him, get your stuff, and then you have to get out of raid with whatever you bought. So that's going to be a very interesting dynamic. It's going to be a great way to put some really high value loot on him that it just makes it challenging to get to. Now, we didn't get an actual in-game picture. We got this this kind of, I guess you could call it artist rendition, whatever. It's kind of a cool picture, kind of scenic, and it has some very crazy details if you look really close. So first, if you look in his hands, he's holding some kind of necklace. This necklace is a cultist necklace. How do I know that? Well, I'm assuming, but for one, it's because we saw tons of cultist shit all over inside the Lighthouse pictures. All those pictures we've seen is Lighthouse. There's at least 2, but maybe 3 or 4 rooms that are just cultist rooms. And then if you look pretty closely behind the trader in the shadows, it looks like there's a damn cultist hiding behind the guy. Pretty crazy, huh? So that's going to be an interesting dynamic to the game and how that plays in the lore, how the Lighthouse trader has to do with cultists and cultists being out on Lighthouse. So that'll be kind of horrifying. Now, again, Nikita said this whole update with Lighthouse is not going to be soon. And this is where I come up with my 2 to 3 month window. Again, my assumption, nothing BSG said. Just I want to be perfectly clear with that. Now, the last thing we've got in here is the flare gun. Yep, just like in PUBG, we've got a flare gun that's going to call in care packages. Nikita said they're going to be pretty rare and you're not going to be able to spam a bunch of them in a single raid or anything like that. And it looks like they added a whole new slew of animations for the airdrop aircraft itself, which make them fit into the lore a little bit better. Tarkov has a no-fly zone over it, so a lot of folks are pretty critical of, how are these aircraft flying over and not getting shot down? Well, now we have them dumping flares and countermeasures as if it's actively being targeted and shot at. So that's pretty cool. Now, Nikita expanded on this, and he mentioned that there's going to be multiple types of rounds for the flare gun that will have different functions. So let your mind run wild there. Let me down in the comments what you think. Are we going to be able to call in airstrikes or artillery strikes, helo extracts, reinforcements? Are you going to be able to call in rogues if you're USEC, or I don't know if you're Bear, who you're going to call in, maybe scavs, though I don't know how good of reinforcements they are. But they're going to have a lot of room to play with this, and I think it could be a lot of fun. Now, he said the first iteration of the flare gun is only going to be able to call in airdrops, but there will be multiple types of airdrops, apparently. They only showed us the one here because the others weren't ready. So again, maybe later this week, we'll see some more of them. We'll kind of recap again. I think patch in the next 2 to 6 weeks with a bunch of stuff that we talked about, and then Lighthouse in 2 to 3 months with possibly a wipe. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's my recap of the podcast. I hope it was helpful. We'll have a link down below so you can watch it yourself if you want to. It's a good listen to. There was a lot of information there, and maybe you come up with a different idea than I do. And by all means, let me know it in the comments. But we'll wrap her up there. Appreciate you guys watching. I wish you the best of luck in your raids, and we'll see you in Tarkov.